I get this question constantly, so in this video I'm going to go over my top tips for beginners. Some of these are going to be directed specifically towards saxophone players, but a lot of it can be applied to whatever instrument you play. So I'm heading to my gig right now. Let's get into it. Alright, the first tip I have that I think is so important is to come up with a practice routine and do it religiously. In my experience, it's way better to have 15 minutes a day than 3 hours once a week. I found like I just learn things better and stuff cements better in my head whenever I have a chance to like sleep on the information that I've learned during my practice session. So if you're a saxophone player or if you play any brass or woodwind instrument for that matter, a large portion of your practice routine as a beginner should definitely be focused around sound exercises and fundamentals. Overtone matching exercises are one of my favorite exercises to do, and I almost always incorporate those into my warm-up no matter what I'm doing that day. Tonight I'm playing at this place called the Duquesne Club. There will be a venue review up on my Patreon if you're interested. So I'm basically thinking about like my air support and my jaw, trying not to pinch too much, make sure I'm supporting, and all of this stuff you focus on building fundamentals for years and years so you don't have to think about it. I actually recently realized I've been voicing incorrectly my whole life. Like 3 weeks ago I realized this. So I would be singing like an octave lower, so I'd be singing da, and really the note you're singing is la. So I also get a lot of questions about improvisation specifically, so I figured I'd talk a little bit about that. I would say the biggest tip I can give is focus on simple melodies and rhythms. You can be super intentional with this and play something that's very beautiful and interesting. It doesn't have to be complex and lick-oriented, especially when you're starting out. Embellishing a melody is a great way to start, so if you're playing a tune you already know, just try to weave your way in and out of the melody. That way you kind of feel like you have like landing spots without feeling like you have to completely come up with something brand new. Generally stick to simple. Simple is usually better, especially when you're starting out. Just try to play something that you think sounds good. So another thing you should do if you want to be getting better at improvising is transcribe people that you want to sound like. This is kind of confusing because a lot of people want to just like learn the lick and think that that's what'll get them to sound the way they want to sound. But in my experience, it's way better to try to transcribe things and get them in your head and your ears so that when you're playing, you're just listening to stuff that's coming into your head and trying to get it out of your instrument. And then you have to just work on connecting your ears to your instrument. How do you work on connecting your ears to your instrument? In my experience, it's been extremely beneficial to take different ideas, whether it's licks or entire tunes, in all 12 keys. And usually doing it by ear too, because if you can hear it, then you should be able to play it. That's the goal, obviously. Now, this should start with something very simple, like a nursery rhyme. something that you can already hear in your head that's very easy, that's a great place to start. Then eventually you can move to more complex lines or taking entire solos or, 2/5 licks or whatever you want to work on, but that's a really great place to start. So another thing I really wanted to mention is the importance of a private lesson teacher. If you have the ability and the budget to be able to get with a private lesson teacher, I would say absolutely do it. This person's going to help you catch any bad muscle memory you might be building and just kind of like stop any bad habits early so that you don't get, 7 years down the road and you realize you have a bunch of issues that you never worked out. Because eventually those are the things that will hinder you from progressing further. There's one tip that no one ever talks about that I think is extremely helpful, and that is going to FoolishFrankie.com and buying merch. You'll definitely become a better saxophone player if you buy. I can't even get myself to say that seriously, but I dropped merch a few months ago. I just released some beanies and some sweatshirts. Go check it out. There's stickers too. They help support me and support the channel, so thank you so much for everyone that's ordered stuff. I'll have it linked in the description. Another thing that I think is really good for improving as a musician in general is just going out to hear other musicians play, whether that's at jam sessions or concerts or whatever it is. You kind of just absorb everything, and eventually it'll start to sleep out of the music that you're playing, and I think that's really important. And also getting together and playing with people as much as you can. That's really great too. Just getting to make music and having experience doing that over and over and over again. That's like really important to your development, especially as a young musician, in my opinion. So the last tip I'm gonna say is build something into your practice routine that you find fun. Practice something that you want to play just because you want to play it, or because you want to learn it, or because it makes you excited. I think that's so important to have in your routine. I personally like to put mine towards the end of my practice routine. It's kind of like how you eat dessert after you have dinner. I don't know, I just think it's helpful to get through the stuff that you maybe aren't as excited about, but that's really good for your playing. And then the reward is, getting to play some stuff that you're really excited about and amped up about. I just think it's good to have something that will keep you motivated, because it can definitely be kind of a long and treacherous journey, and there are lots of ups and downs with playing an instrument. So anyways, that's my advice. Hope it's helpful. Check out the Patreon, shop at FoolishFrankie.com. And thanks so much, guys. Thanks for watching.